Okay, my name is Ephraim Cohen. I'm originally from Rochester, New York, and went to TLS from 1965 until 1968. I came from a Dati family, but went to public schools all my life, high school and grammar school. But going to TLS convinced me that maybe I should increase my Jewish education, and so I ended up going to YU for college. And continued to be Dati and much more observant as a result of my education at YU. I was asked to indicate my most memorable experiences at TLS, and so I'll indicate two things. First of all, in I think about 1965 or 1966, my twin brother and I, we were both at TLS together, we got a hold of a shofar, and it was the first time I had ever even considered trying to blow a shofar. But for a couple of evenings, we sat around the lakeside at one of the seminars and just taught ourselves how to blow shofar. Within a few months, or within a couple of months, we were blowing shofar at our Beit Knesset back in Rochester, New York, and we have both been Balei Tokea since then for the last 40 or 45 years all around the world. The other thing that I remember, there were a group of us from Rochester, New York who went together, and we all sang together. We had been singing in a group for many years back in Rochester, so every night after dinner we would perform for everybody at the seminar. And also a friend of mine, Michael Osband, and my brother and I, we both played recorders, Khalil, and we performed for the group and then ended up being on a record that was put out called The Sounds of Seminar.
It's so hard for me to put into words the meaning of Torah Leadership Seminar for me. I find it very hard to talk about because I get very emotional. I was 16 when I was told that there was a place for kids like me who were so hungry for knowledge of Yiddishkeit and so far away from it. And it took a whole summer of me working in a far-off place called Brooklyn, because I was from the Bronx, and I spent the whole entire summer as an au pair with some children to earn the money to be able to get to this fantasy that I had called Torah Leadership Seminar. I spent the summer because of the feeling of anguish that I had that I'm never going to be able to get to this place called Yiddishkeit that I was dreaming of. And I spent the summer studying Job in English, I didn't know Hebrew, in order to be able to prepare myself mentally and emotionally for whatever was going to be. I got to seminar, I was handed a card, and it had an aleph on it, and I could not read it. I said, "What's that?" I didn't go alone. I convinced 3 other friends from my community, the Hillside Homes, all the way up in Northeast Bronx, to join me on this expedition, on this journey. I can say now, very sadly, that one of them is married, was married, spent most of her life married to a Christian. She divorced recently. Another one of those who was accompanying me to Torah Leadership Seminar married later in life an Iranian Muslim. And the fourth, I have no idea where Susan Adler is today. I hope that she has an easier life than the other 2. But I can only say that once I got into the ruchnius at Torah Leadership Seminar, I never wanted to go home. I remember sweating in the dining room through the dancing that we did after every single meal, learning how to bench transliterated, and I felt like there couldn't have been a more wonderful place in the world than Torah Leadership Seminar. I also have to say that because I was so fearful of going back to the world that I came from, which was tremendously assimilated, that I had actually received advice from Rabbi Luxstein, who suggested that if I can't eat kosher in my house, I can eat kosher out of my house. So I became a Jew who ate kosher on the out, as opposed to all those who did the opposite. And wonderful thing to take Shabbat and kashrus and song and benching and take that away as the most magnificent gifts I could in life. And Baruch Hashem, after 37 years in Israel and this June 50 years married to a wonderful guy who grew up in the yeshiva world and has been an amazing husband, I can say thank God for doing
Hey, hi. I am Rika Goldman, originally, now Deutsch, originally of Hartford, Connecticut. And what it meant for me at seminars is being part of the greater Orthodox community. My family has always been Orthodox. Moved to the States in the 1886, started the Jewish community in Hartford, the shuls, the mikveh, the Hebrew Day School, but I was the only Orthodox girl in my class. And socially, that was a big stopgap, I guess. And seminars for me meant the opportunity of going around to other similar communities and meeting other people like myself, teenagers, who were Orthodox or striving to become so. And it was a wonderful, wonderful part of my life, of my growing up. As soon as I was able to go out and get a job, I would work every Sunday in a bakery, a local bakery, and all that money would go to pay for my seminars, my Shabbatomim, and it was something I would look forward to every single year, 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. As many times as I was able to get away on a seminar or Shabbaton, I went. And I just want to say thank you for that. There happen to be many, many people here from Hartford, which is very interesting. There are already 4 or 5 other people that I've met from my hometown community. And I'm sure that their involvement in seminars was as important to them as it was for me. Thank you.
I am Susie Sikensky. Seminar was a perfect ending to the summers for me after being a counselor in Marasha in 66 and 67. Actually, Devara and Chaya both were in my bunk, and we formed a lasting friendship. They came to my house for Shabbat afterwards. What it meant to me was ruach, depth of meaning in Yahadut, not doing things on automatic. As a madricha, it was a test for me to test my own beliefs and to be able to hold discussions. It was a challenge. But it wasn't really giving because I got to deepen my Yiddishkeit. One of the most moving seminars I went to was, I was sent out to California in 1966 to the Cambria. It was a Cambria seminar. That was very memorable because the Chevra were very different from the New York people. They looked to me more like hippies. So it was quite a different kind of challenge. And what we had in that seminar was very unfortunate because the chaplain who came down to visit actually died at the seminar, which turned it into an amazingly intense time. He had been taken off to the hospital, and kids who didn't really know anything about Yahadut, we were all saying to Hillel, davening. I think we learned what really davening with Kavanah meant. Unfortunately, it was Niftar. And it just became a part of the whole experience of life and death, part of Yahadut. And that was a really amazing experience I'll never forget. But I'll never forget getting off the bus and seeing the kids who were so different from the kids in the East. But once we started working and talking and it didn't make any difference. Torah Leadership Seminar also meant a lot of memories for me. I edited this book on our mitzvah year of Torah Leadership Seminar, and that was very meaningful for me because I could interview people who over those 13 years had been influenced by seminar and put in pictures. And I just, I dug it out today to bring along something.
Good evening, my name is Abraham Allen Brown. I was an advisor at Seminar about 52 years ago. I think it was 59, 60, 61, 62, around that time. And the best thing about the seminar is that I met my wife, the owner. So of course I'm eternally grateful to Abe Stern and Cy Shavrick for creating Seminar. The both of us were there, and we married. Thank God today we have 5 children, 21 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren. And 3 of my children are living in Israel, married with 14 grandchildren. So thank God. So it all goes back to the days of Seminar. So to me that was a highlight that I met my wife. And of course I'm eternally grateful to the people in Yeshiva University, particularly Abe Stern and Cy Shavrick. I would just discuss the memories, the great memories. I can't particularly choose anyone, but I think it was a great experience studying for the rabbinate. Just a great feeling doing kiruv. And of course I went to the rabbinate because I wanted to do the kiruv. So that was a great experience for me to meet young men and women who attended public school and came to seminar to experience the beauty of Jewish life, or the Torah life. And I'm sure you have the statistic that the thousands of young men and women who went through the seminar experience and attribute to it great impact on their lives and change their lives. So it's been an experience that I'll never forget. I'm grateful for that opportunity to be there and to do mashpia anyone I possibly could have done, but I know that I was very much impacted. I must say one particular person who was unfortunately passed away recently, who was a great teacher and was really an outstanding speaker, Rabbi David Hartman. Rabbi David Hartman of the Shalom Hartman Institute, who passed away a few years ago. He was really a magnetic personality, charismatic, great teacher. And myself and my wife and I'm sure many other people were truly inspired by him. He really was, in my day, one of the great forces presenting Torah in a very positive, intellectual manner. So that's about it. I'm grateful that I was there and experienced, and I'm really glad tonight to meet some people I haven't seen for 50 years. So again, thank you, Abe Stern, thank you, Cy Shavrick.
Hi, I'm Eddie Abramson, originally from Watertown, New York. I'm not sure if I hold the record, but I actually went to 17 seminars. Seminar meant everything to me. I was stuck up there in Watertown with no Jewish community to speak of, certainly not an Orthodox Jewish community. I'm sure this is trite to say, everybody says it, but the seminar changed my life. I ended up at YU, I got smicha. I actually started, of course, as a seminarian and ended up on the rabbinic staff of the seminar. But what I really want to say is that the seminar represented a kind of Orthodox Judaism that I think we need to be sure still exists. An openness, an ability to ask questions, all the things that we were encouraged to do in seminar. The genius of Dr. Abe Stern is what this was all due to, because he was a very deep thinker about education and social work. So the combination of leadership and the whole Torah atmosphere was really a product of his stuff. So eternally thankful that I went to the seminar. My wife went to seminar also, and that we were able to get together again and celebrate was probably one of the greatest educational enterprises of the 20th century in the Jewish world in the United States. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Alva Stern, and I'm the wife of Dr. Abe Stern. And since my husband was the father of seminar, maybe I could be the mother of seminar. What can I say other than
seminar. Lily and I began seminar in the 60s. What was it?
We're Irvin Lily Kander.
I said Irvin Lily.
You didn't say our names. We went to seminar for 10 years, first as seminarians, then as counselors, and then as assistant head advisors. We stopped going to seminar when I was pregnant with my first child. We had the first Sheva Brachot at seminar, and we're probably one of seminar's first couples because we met when we were 13 years old in 1963 at seminar.
First seminar was at
Even though we
Morashat.
didn't date since then. We all
First seminar was at Morashat. I'm sorry, Camp Monroe, and then we switched to Morashat. And because we were married, we got the job of being OD, which means on duty at night, to walk around the camp and make sure there wasn't any narishkeit going on that shouldn't be going on. So they trusted us in doing it. That was a good thing.
And we owe so much to our seminar experience. Irv was born and bred yeshiva educated, but I was not, and I have been told that I'm a seminar success story, and I owe so much of my life and becoming frum and having frum children and grandchildren to my seminar experience. So it's wonderful to be here, and Howie can't stop making faces. Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Steve Zell. This is my wife, Esther. I went to seminar in the 60s and 70s, and I wasn't really for that. Seminar. I moved to Israel in 1979. I have two wonderful daughters, so far two wonderful grandchildren, and I feel that it's all because of seminar. It's an interesting story. Marilyn and Elisa Finkelman were advisors in seminar. Marilyn was one of the people who really helped me on my way to being religious. And when I met Esther, this person here, she said that she was that she comes from Berkeley, where Rabbi Finkelman was the rabbi, and we just felt that it was one of the many coincidences that helped bring us together. I showed her the adventure from the wedding, and I thought that in the end we called him and asked Rabbi Finkelman if he would be in Israel, and he said that not only he would be in Israel during the time that we got married, but he was the Masada of the so he gave us, he married us, which I thought was closing the circle. Very good.
And I actually am very grateful to Torah Leadership Seminars, even though I was not a participant, but my husband became frum through it. I'm from birth, and without Torah Leadership Seminars, Stephen and I would never have met.
Wow, it's easy to get applause over here. I don't know if you can tell, but I am so unbelievably excited. I feel like giggling. Seminar memories have that way of affecting us. I've noticed that from everybody who's been coming in, how excited we are to see each other and to be in a place where we can remember a very, very, very special time in our lives. A time that transformed us. I think we probably all here agree that we wouldn't be the people we are today. Maybe we wouldn't even be in this wonderful country if it weren't for the effects of seminar. So in a way, this is a little bit of a, this is your life seminar, because it seems that seminar started either exactly 60 years ago or 61, but 1 year here and there at our age really doesn't make a difference anymore, right? And if you recall the show, This Is Your Life, we're all old enough to remember This Is Your Life, and there'd be voices coming off stage, reminding the school teacher from the first grade and whatever. So on the one side, seminar actually hasn't been around for 60, 61 years. It ended many years ago, but it is alive because it's alive in us. And it made us who we are, and we keep seminar alive And I know that that means something to you because that's why you're here tonight. You didn't come for the delicious dairy supper, but I'm sure you came because of what Seminar meant to you and the people of Seminar. Before we start, we thought it would be proper to say, as they say, a kapitel Tehillim for Am Yisrael and for in Israel and for Jews around the world. And for that, I ask Yehudit Feld.
I just want to echo Chaya's sentiment about the excitement to be here and just welcoming everybody to what is an awesome event. About something that changed all of our lives, and not only our lives, but the lives of our children and our children's children, and all of those that we came in contact with after Seminar. That impact just spread exponentially.
I think the best introduction to our keynote speaker can best be made by his own past self.
Yosef HaTzadik can perhaps only endure in Seminar. Outside of Seminar, it's all too difficult to be a Yosef. However, the chief image which comes out of the pages of the Torah is not necessarily that of a Yosef, but rather that of a Yehuda. And you must understand during this last banquet night that there will be times, many times when you return to your home, that you will fall and that you will falter. There will be times when you won't be able to keep Shabbat as you wish to. There will be times perhaps when you won't even be able to keep Kashrus as you wish to. And there will be times when simply because each and every one of us is a human being, even though it may be possible for you to keep a mitzvah, you fall down on the job, and you won't do what perhaps is expected of you or what perhaps you expect from yourself. And there are two kinds of reactions which you can have. One reaction is, if I have fallen once, then I first shock the whole thing. The other reaction is, let me have the strength of a Yehuda, let me admit to my God my guilt, and let me have the strength to rise up and continue, and perhaps be even strengthened as a result of my fall. This is the message of Seminar.
It is my honor to invite to speak to us tonight the present Rabbi Shlomo Riskin. I think if there was a Lifetime Achievement Award being given for somebody who truly in his life is living all the highest levels of Seminar values, then I think Rabbi Shlomo Riskin, who I think needs no further introduction.
Thank you very, very much. I don't know who that young fellow is. He seems like a pretty good guy. Another Gilgal, I guess. It's wonderful to be here. It really is. I believe, and I think that's true of every single one of us in this room, that Seminar has indeed shaped our lives. And the only thing I could really do that, for me anyway, is meaningful, just stream of consciousness, trying to share some memories, some incidents, some stories that express for me what Seminar really is. You know, we're in the age that's called postmodernism. And postmodernism doesn't really accept something like Seminar. postmodernism sees seminar as a place that tries to brainwash. The very word kiruv, or outreach, has become almost a dirty word, not to be used. Engagement, they call it today. Because who are you to outreach to someone else? You want to engage him, that's something else. But not outreach. Certainly not brainwashing. But when I think about it, we never brainwashed at seminar. That wasn't the point. We exposed. We gave, in effect, we returned a treasure to many people who never knew what they had lost. That's very, very, very different. And that's really all we did. Let me just tell some of my memories and share them with you. And then express what it really was that seminar gave me. One of the things that seminar gave me was getting to know and to love two individuals who had in spades, but I didn't have it all. Sherwood Gaffin and Shlomo Carlebach. Shlomo Carlebach and Sherwood Gaffin. I couldn't sing and I loved Jewish music. And they could really do it. And of course, I lived a lifetime in New York, 19 very special years at Lincoln Square Synagogue, together with Sherwood Gaffin. We were really partners. And we became like brothers. And I also got to know Shlomo Carlebach very, very, very well. We went on many seminars together, many weekends, many long weekends. We spoke a lot in learning, and I loved to listen to him sing. I'll never forget, I asked him, how come you left Lakewood? He had a wonderful mind. He really knew Hasidut. He knew the generations, and he knew what each of the Rebbe's truly taught. And when I asked him the question, he smiled. He said, people don't usually ask me that. But Rav Aaron Kotler wanted me to stay and become a Rosh Hashiva. So I said, so why didn't you? He said, because first I had to learn Yeridea. And I knew you spent a very long time in Yeridea learning what to do when a piece of kosher meat falls into a big pot of treif soup. But you don't spend any time learning what to do when a pure Jewish soul falls into a totally treif environment. And he said, I decided that learning about the second thing and trying to do something about it was more important than learning about the first thing. Never forgot. And that's what we tried very hard to do at seminar. I had a good friend at seminar who grew up to be a fine Talmud professor in an important graduate school in Talmud. He was one of the younger people that I was privileged to have taught. He knew I loved music. And I said, I want to share a song with you. It's a song I'm sure that all of you know. Eile v'recha ve'eile v'susim v'anachnu b'shem Hashem Elokeinu nazkir. Remember? Mike. And I said to him, or he said to me, how do you like the song? I said, I love it. He said, well, I composed it. And I said, when did you compose it? And he said, last Friday night. He had recently become Shomer Shabbat. And he very much wanted his parents to share a Friday evening dinner with him. His father was a real enthusiast of the horse races. And somehow got a special ticket. I don't know what this is, Hialeah, it's a place, it's a mythical place. But that Friday evening, his parents were at the horses. And he was alone at home. And he wrote the music, or created the music. Ve'ele v'recha ve'ele v'susim v'anachnu b'shem Hashem Elokeinu nazkir. He spent a number of years since becoming religious being a bit schizophrenic. Outside of the house, she would only eat kosher food. Inside of the house, she had to eat what her mother made for her. And it wasn't kosher. It was very interesting to me because it was the exact antithesis of many of the homes that I knew growing up, where there's a religious grandparent, parents no longer religious, but they kept the kosher home so that the grandparents could eat at the house. But when they went out, they ate non-kosher. I always smiled to myself and I felt, well, at least their dishes would go to heaven. But here was a young woman who had the opposite situation. And I was very impressed. She said, however, she had a very long talk with her mother. And her mother was willing to make the home kosher, on the condition that her very good china dishes would not be sacrificed in the process. I was already learning very late. I knew that halacha, you can't kosher china. Same laws like klicheres, like earthenware. Can't be kosher. But I didn't have the heart to tell it to her. She was very excited about the prospect of turning the home kosher, but there was only this one minor issue of the china. And she thought that it could be kosher in some way. I said to give me some time, I'll ask my teacher. And I went in to ask Rabbi Soloveitchik. I just said to him, one of the students that I have at Yeshiva University Youth Seminar, put the following question to me. He thought for a moment and he said, it's okay. Can be kasha. First of all, he said, I know, yes, Klikeres, you can't kasha in general, and we consider China to be earthenware. However, he said, there are Rishonim who hold that if it's glazed China, with glass coating, that's different, and it can be kasha. And there are others who hold that even earthenware, 3 times, if it can be exposed to boiling water, can be kasha. So that's what you should do in this case. 3 times, boiling water, and the dishes can be used. I was overjoyed. I thanked the Rav. And I walked out of the apartment. He called me back. This is what he said. The first meal that's made on those dishes, you have to eat. Because I heard a great deal about what seminar does and the students that it teaches. You'd be surprised. Some have already become rabbis. They're serious people. Unless you eat a meal on the dishes that you allowed to be used, this young woman is not going to take it seriously. And the worst thing you can do is not to take someone who is discovering Judaism for the first time truly seriously. I learned another important lesson about the responsibility of psak and having to live by your own piskei halacha. Later on in the rabbinate, I remember I was given the responsibility of kashrut on the west side. I was the young man on the block, the young rabbi on the block. And I walked into one of the important butcher shops. And there was a very fine mashgiach. And I asked the butcher, just in passing, I said, you know, I'm now responsible for the kashrut for the west side. When does your mashgiach come? He says, every Wednesday morning at 7:30. When else does he come? He says he never comes. Every Wednesday at 7:30. Obviously, something's wrong. Well, the next Wednesday at 7:30, I showed up. I saw a very distinguished, Hasidic-looking Jew, beard, peyot, the way a rabbi is supposed to look. And I said, you're the mashgiach? He said, yes. I didn't bother saying I'm Rabbi Riskin. I think he would have laughed. I said, I have only one question to ask. Do you eat from your meat? Never forget his answer. Chas v'shula. So how do you expect me to eat from the meat? He was very honest. says, for you, it's good enough. That's what Rav Soloveitchik wanted me to prevent. And I want to say one more thing. I had the really great privilege of having gotten to know Rav Kahaneman, Zecher Tzadik Livracha of Panovich. I went for one short Zman, Elul Zman, in 1960. Went to Israel, so my first stop was Panovich. And I got to really know him, and one Shabbos a year, Lincoln Square, he would come. He davened in the shul, he faced the wall, he didn't face the congregation, but he davened in the shul, and he spoke and I translated from Yiddish. He got sick, and he spent the Shabbat with me in my home, with the students that I always had from the James Stryer School, which was really the school that grew out of Seminar. Seminar, right, Rabbi Sina? Seminar truly created the first yeshiva for the Baalei Tshuva. And that was very, very, very special. So Rav Kahaneman met my students at my table. He became very sick with leukemia and needed blood transfusions. And I was called to the hospital, and he said to me, I need blood. And I would like you to please take care of getting for me the blood for the transfusions. But I only want blood from Shomrei Shabbat. And I would like blood from your students. Because b'makom shebalei tshuva omdim ein tzadikim gemurim yecholim la'amod bo. Where a returning Jew stands, the greatest Jews cannot stand. In other words, the BTs trump the FFBs. The Baalei Tshuva trump the film from birds. And there is something very special about the students from Seminar. And a very large percentage truly did become rabbis and educators. Whatever I may have given to Seminar, I got much, much more back. Three most important things. The first is my wife, who came from Camp Yaron, Abe Stern, Victor Geller, and that was an outgrowth of Seminar. The second, it taught me the magic of Judaism. You know, it was an amazing experience to see how taking people who know very little, indeed, Seminar, I think, created it, Lincoln Square. Because I believe that Judaism can change lives. Because I saw it happen, seminar after seminar. And unquestionably, I became a rabbi because of seminar. Because of the magic of having the great privilege of teaching Judaism. So I thank you all very much. They were very, very special golden years here at Seminar. And Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach, I guess certain things can never be recreated. But in different ways, they can be metaphors. And they can be changed to fit other situations. And that's what we're really trying to do. But certainly, in my developing years, it was simply nothing like Seminar. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm reading it to you as I wrote it for the wedding. My husband and I are guests, as the saying goes, from the chassan's side, although I now feel that I know Leah quite well since we have spent a great deal of time together the last few months. Our friendship with the chassan goes back many, many years to the early 60s and Torah leadership seminars, where he was an enthusiastic and devoted seminarian. Yeshiva University designed these seminars to attract Jewish teenagers and teach them about their heritage. This task it succeeded in fulfilling for many participants. However, unwittingly and unbeknownst to even Abe Stern, the seminar experience itself prepared us for something else, which is the subject of my talk tonight, which is How Seminar Prepared Us for Aliyah, subtitled, How Nassan the Chassan Became Natan the Chatan. Winter seminars were held at a suitably freezing location, starting with the lake house, for those of you who really go back, and progressing to the Muncie Park Hotel. We traveled there by bus. It was always a noisy ride, lots of shouting, lots of eating, and some singing. Not everyone had a seat, and the aisle was filled with shopping bags and suitcases. Don't forget this before knapsacks. We were all teenagers, and the ride itself became an integral part and crucial element of the total seminar experience. How many of you here tonight arrived by bus? Was it so different from those short lines charter specials? But we are no longer teenagers. The full name of seminar was Torah Leadership Seminar, TLS. It was supported by CSD, part of YU, which included YC, MTA, EMC, REITs, SEW, WSW, ACOM, and of course JSS. Within 2 days, every seminarian was supposed to know the full names and purpose of every abbreviated institution. With this memorization feat long since past us, we left Chul, arrived at BGA in Eretz HaKodesh. We spoke to the Mankal at Bilal, or UMB, from which point we then had 3 years free of most VAT to give us time to swim at the Matnas, to learn the difference between Mapam, Patam, not to mention Patach, to learn about Rats, Dats, and Mats, and Parshat HaShabak. Mam is no longer Mare Makomot, but rather Mefaked Machlaka. And the Ramatkal is the chief of staff, not a female microphone. We arrived at MPH, no, not miles per hour, Muncie Park Hotel. And we were assigned to a room. Usually the plumbing and the roommates were equally unpredictable. What could be a more useful initiation into the intricacies of the Israeli system of sanitation with its unique
simultaneous shower and floor cleaning spray network. Okay, each morning began with davening. For many of us, davening itself was a new and confusing experience. Even if we just concentrated on Shema and Shmon Esrei, it took forever to plod our way through the siddur. Slowly but surely, with lots of help from the advisors, davening became easier. In the same amount of time that 150 seminarians got through an abbreviated regular weekday morning service, 150 Israelis breathed through a complete shacharit, Kriyat Torah, and Musaf on Shabbat with Hallel thrown in for good measure, while standing shoulder to shoulder, getting colder to colder in a miklat designed for 20 families. Where is that special hitlahavut we learned about from Shlomo Carback at seminar? Answer. It is in the corner. It works on Neft. This was 28 years ago. I mean, you have to kind of work sort of different stages here, different eons. Breakfast. Do you remember breakfast? Seminar breakfast, just like lunch and dinner, took 1.5 hours. A half hour was the average waiting time before washing. We learned about waiting on lines. We learned also the magic words to say once we finally arrived at the head of the line. This lesson should have already proved useful in the Holy Land. After washing, we made a motzi and ate bread. Lots of bread. Bread for breakfast, bread for lunch, bread for supper. Need I say more? We learned how to pack a suitcase. We learned how to do hand wash in a tiny sink without a stopper. We learned about mold and mildew. We learned to take the expression lights out seriously and how important it is to have a working flashlight. So many invaluable lessons, without which Aliyah would have been completely mystifying as well as unbearable. We danced and sang through every meal. What preparation for eating a falafel while drinking mitzvah shkoliot through 2 defective straws while pushing a stroller down Ben Yehuda and carrying a salad of inner city goodies. At seminar, we learned about the plight of Soviet Jewry. Kentor Goffin would inspire us with The Little Bird is Calling, a song about the frustration of those dedicated Jews longing to be free, to be reunited with their families in Eretz Yisrael, where once again the little bird is calling, but Kol HaKavim Bekivun, whatever, Tfusim, Mispar She'igat Alav, Eino Poel, etc. Most of us came to seminar somewhat suspicious of rabbis. Were they really human? Why did they push us to go to seminar in the first place? What did they really know about dating, love, and sex? We had the opportunity to get to know the rabbis, as well as their wives and their children, to realize that they were indeed human, that they really cared very much about each seminarian and his or her problems and struggles. They were real role models. Once again, seminar prepared us for Aliyah. We came to Israel thinking the rabbinate was human, caring, concerned, and we soon learned to be suspicious once again. Every seminar featured talent show night, a melange of piano recital pieces, baton twirling, and the Scranton Female Family Choir singing by Mir Bistushen. But the highlight of the evening was the staff quintet singing Hakinor Mezamer, which I hope we're going to have tonight. We're not having a kinor, and we got all the parts, and we worked, and we know all the parts.
We can try it.
Okay, 5 people. You guessed it, this taught us Ivrit. December 1961 saw the debut of what was to be a seminar theatrical classic, a play entitled My Name is Yisrael. The story concerned a rather assimilated teenager who goes to seminar, gets inspired, searches his soul, decides that he wants to be a Torah true Jew, and returns home. There, he tries explaining to his parents about Shabbos and Kashrus, why it's so important to keep the mitzvot, even if it means being different. not eating out chinks with the family, not going to Friday night dances, giving up cheeseburgers and Saturday morning football practice. His parents are very upset about all his decisions. Why would their son give up the American way of life, a chance to get into an Ivy League school, for a yarmulke and a view of Washington Heights? Eventually, as we all know, most parents did make peace with their children and their decisions. And the subsequent years of commitment proved that, quote, being frum was not just a passing stage, and that you could still be normal even if you were so religious. What storyline could have prepared us here tonight more effectively for making Aliyah? The soul-searching, the decision-making, coming out of the closet, telling your family, your neighbors, your rabbi, your boss, that you are giving up the American Jewish dream to practice the faith of your forefathers in that very land where they lived. Everyone thought you were crazy, but you knew deep down that you were right. And then I said, Mazal Tov to Leah and Natan, who have both made many right decisions, and so have all of us here. Thank you.
I was in the band, The Wolf Revival. Oh, wow. How many people still play my 8-track? How many people have a machine that can play that 8-track? Okay. Before there was Schlock Rock, there was Puff. So we're going to do Puff the Kosher Dragon. In time, it's not lived in Palestine. Became lived in Israel, land of mine. Okay, so we have to make it more juicy, as I said. I actually spoke to Effie a couple of hours ago. It was written by Effie Buchwald and Mordechai Reich. And also Peter Yarrow wrote them out. We have to give them credit. Yeah? And Effie sends his love. He would have loved to be here. He's actually coming to Israel on Wednesday for a week. But he didn't arrange his schedule to be here, so. The Kosher Dragon lived in Israel, land of mine, and frolicked in the synagogue, and drank Shapiro's wine. Little Rabbi Goldberg loved that kosher puff, and fed him lots and matzah balls, and other kosher stuff. Then one day it happened, Puff was eating pork. Little Rabbi Goldberg took a dragon for a walk. Gently he explained that dragons don't eat meat that come from little piggies. who have to be little feet. Oh, Puff, the culture dragon, lived in Israel, land of monk, and frolicked in the synagogue, drank Shapiro's wine. Little Rabbi Goldberg loved that kosher Puff, and fed him lots and lots of balls and other kosher stuff. Then Puff became bar mitzvah, put on tefillin every day, wrapped up in his talit. Oh, that's the way he prayed. Made brachot before eating, bench after every meal. Imagine how religious it made that dragon feel.
Thank you very much for allowing me to share this very, very special evening with you. Many of you I know are yourselves not only alumni of Seminar, but many of you are students yourselves at Yeshiva College or at Stern College.
It is extremely meragesh, extremely heartwarming to see such a large gathering of people who share so much history, so much passion for Judaism, and I hope also a passion for Yeshiva University. The fact that we have this wonderful campus and this beautiful building with which to share events and moments like this with all of you, hopefully your children, your grandchildren, this should always be, building and this campus should always be viewed as a place that you can call home, a place that you can come back to. Please know that on behalf of our staff here and our board here, the alumni board, the staff of Yeshiva University in Israel, the Louis Kollel, please see this as your invitation to join us anytime and for any reason you have a need to reminisce, a desire to reconnect, and a passion again to be not only Jews living in Eretz Yisrael, but proud YU graduates, seminar graduates, and please join us always to come together and only for smachot. We're thrilled to see you.
Thank you so much. And on a different note, somebody has a white car on the Shvil. They said it's blocking somebody from going out. Enough said. If you recognize your car, it's up to you.
Learn that from seminar.
We were very, very, very fortunate that we got a video greeting from Rabbi Norman Tokayer, one of the three biggies of the YU seminar planners and workers. Of course, Abe Stern being the first, and we'll be hearing about him in a moment. And we also will give a little bit of homage to Sai Shavrik, but we have greetings from Norman Tokayer right now.
Eddie, thank you very much for inviting me to greet you and the seminarians at the seminar reunion. It's very gratifying that after all these years, you are all still identifying yourselves with seminar. How wonderful to see the impact it has made on so many. I joined YU's Youth Bureau in 1962. At that time, it consisted of Abe Stern, Sai Shavrik, and myself. To this day, I marvel at what they have accomplished. The effort preceded the OU NCSY movement. It was the first outreach program for the Orthodox community. As you know, seminar was an effort to be helpful to YU Orthodox rabbis in marginal congregations, to expose their teens to an Orthodox living experience in a pleasant setting for socializing, learning, and fun. I was impressed that not all seminarians came on their own volition. In fact, some came very reluctantly. But I was amazed at the impact on them, their communities, the faculty, and the staff.
Before I say a few words about the events and herself and the Honor Society, I do want to just say a huge, huge thank you and Tizkila Mitzvot to Chaim Passo, who really made it. I was a little tough on me, but we got through it, and it's really unbelievable to see everybody here. This is, the Gemara says, "Ein bal hanes makir b'niso," that a person to whom a miracle happens often doesn't recognize that it's a miracle. I actually think that may be an exception to that, and that's us here tonight. I think we're all aware of the fact that we were part of a miracle. And we still are in a certain sense. And I want to thank Susie and Stephanie, first of all, for being here. We have a sense, and we had a sense as we were working out the program and thinking about tonight, what power there is in this group here in Israel. We don't know what that means exactly yet, and we're going to eventually look to you to help us figure out what that means. But we sense that we are, on one hand, a great asset to Yeshiva University, because look what Yeshiva University did for us, and look at the deep relationship, therefore, that we have with Yeshiva. And on the other hand, Yeshiva University is a great asset to us, because it's still there, very much there, as Richard said, with all the problems that surround it now, financial, etc. We're all aware of that. But it's still the beacon that it always was. in terms of the kind of Yiddishkeit that we learned at seminar. The openness, the directness, the joy, the ability to embrace the aspects of the modern world that are embraceable according to our Masorah, and the parts that aren't. So we have a great deal to be thankful for. I feel that in certain ways this evening is a kind of birkat hoda'ah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, obviously, for what he brought us, and to Yeshiva University for where it brought us. We're eternally grateful to what I do, and I know you'll bring that message back, Susie. But we want to continue that relationship and enhance it. And we need all of us to figure out how we can do that and how we can be of benefit to Medinat Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, and Klal Yisrael here in the Eretz HaKodesh. The Orlando Benson Honor Society, in 1955, Abe Stern, who we'll talk about in a few moments, Abe Stern conceived of seminar. And one of the participants in the very first seminar was a young woman called Yolanda Benson. You probably remember her story, but I'll just review it for you briefly. Yolanda Benson was born in Poland. Her parents were Polish Jews. And as World War II began and the Holocaust began, they did what many families did. It was a little bit different at the beginning. They left Yolanda, who was a young child at that time, with an Aryan-looking Jewish family to protect her, hopefully protect her throughout the horrors of what was going to happen. Actually, that family found it too difficult. They needed to travel around and hide and run around, and they found it too difficult to have little Yolanda with them. So they transferred her to another non-Jewish family with whom she lived throughout the war. When the war ended, the Bensons, her parents, managed to survive the war. It's a complicated story, I won't go through the details. They managed to locate Yolanda who was with this family. But the problem is, this family was a very devout Catholic family. They went to church regularly, they had crucifixes throughout the house, and young Yolanda had become a good Catholic. And she loved her parents, or what she thought were her parents, her so-called foster parents. They weren't particularly helpful in trying to make that break. They wanted her to be with them also. So there were all kinds of agreements. They moved to a different part of Europe afterwards, but the foster parents insisted on being part of their life, and Yolanda kept going back to them. She wanted to go to church. She wanted to pray in the Christian way. So the Bensons decided to make the big break and come to America. They ended up in southern New Jersey, in the chicken farming area there. They had a chicken farm. And but Yolanda still was very much leaning toward the whole Christian upbringing that she had. They were sort of at their wits' end. And a local rabbi told them about this new program that was beginning called Torah Leadership Seminar. And they convinced her to go. She went to seminar, and the rest, in a certain sense for her, spiritually, was history. She loved the, I'll read you just a paragraph here of a letter that she wrote, I think to the Youth Bureau, after she, no, I thought I had it there, but if I don't, at any rate, it's a beautiful letter saying how much she loved her new friends and how exciting it was to, here it is. She said, I was thinking a lot about the 8 days in New York. I had never previously experienced the atmosphere of yeshiva companionship and learning from young scholars and rabbis, and the most wonderful thing of all, to be among strange Jewish boys and girls, but to feel as if I knew them for years. I admire and respect the people who gave the wonderful lectures and demonstrations. It was all such a wonderful experience. I enjoyed it, so I wish I could participate once more in such a program. My big obligation is to do the things taught me to the best of my ability. I shall try to do them with heart and understanding, my deepest appreciation for the guidance and teaching which I know will help my future life. Yolanda Benson wanted to go to Stern, but there were financial problems in the family. She needed to be in her home. help with the chicken farm. So she went to New York State Teachers College, and right after Yom Kippur, actually, in '59, I believe, there was a bus accident on the Palisades Parkway, and among others on the bus, she was killed. Abe Stern, in his great depth of feeling, created the Yolanda Benson Honor Society in her memory. I want to read you 2 lines of something that I'm embarrassed to say that I wrote in Susie Schellman's. Are you here, Susie? Hi. It's a brilliant, brilliant book. I read it over again. I hadn't seen it in years, and I found it at home. I read it over again. Without computers, without word processors, without emails, you put together an amazing thing there. There's you called me Mr. Abramson here. I think that was probably the first time I was in high school. I probably saw the first time I was called Mr. Abramson.
What's the title of the book?
It's the Seminar Bar Mitzvah Yearbook. There it is. It's a brilliant article by Abe Stern there of the entire educational philosophy of seminar. Absolutely brilliant. I wrote just one line that I wrote, and the article was called Zecher Nishmata, about Yolanda. It says the Yolanda Benson Honor Society was established as a group of select veterans of Torah Leadership Seminar in sincere dedication to traditional Jewish ideals, especially as they are related to Jewish youth. But here's the line that I thought was so important. The members of the Honor Society are aware that they are not in possession of all the answers. At the time of her death, Yolanda, Aleha Shalom, was engaged in a consuming search with regard to Judaism. It is this very search that every member of the society is involved with. That's one of the things that we learned at seminar. It's not, I've always said, I think I probably got this from Rabbi Riskin, that I've never been so happy, particularly happy with people who have found God. I'm more interested in people who are searching for God. And that's what seminar was all about, as we well know. And that's even what it wasn't. People say when I started describing Yolanda Benson, those are the kids that became frum through seminar. Yes, but not necessarily. That wasn't the point. It was the people who were doing the best searching, and that's what it's all about. So, since that's what seminar is all about, and that's what Yolanda Benson Honor Society is all about, I want the people who are members, and we have no idea who those people are in this room, because we don't have any lists from those days, but those people who are still members of the Yolanda Benson Honor Society, please rise. Thank you very much. I can only hope that you're still searching. One of my very, very closest friends in the entire world is somebody who I met at seminar, Morty Landon. Morty and I can't remember how many times we roomed together. I was at 17 seminars. It's possible that I hold the record, I'm not sure. I started as a seminarian and I ended up on the rabbinic staff. Couldn't get rid of me. Morty and I met at seminar in 1961. We became roommates at YU after seminar for 4 years, and then close friends forever.